Today we're going to be talking about domestic abuse in the household, but most importantly, that geared towards men. Here we go.
Each year in this country, 600 men are killed by their wives, girlfriends, or exes. You hear the statistics for female victims of domestic violence.
We know that every 15 seconds a woman is battered.
But how often is a man battered by a woman in the United States? Well, the number is the same, every 15 seconds. At least according to Richard 𝔸𝕓𝕦𝕤𝕚𝕚. 𝔸𝕑s is considered one of the country's leading experts on domestic violence. He has made a career of talking to victims and perpetrators, and what he's discovered is that
the women are as likely to initiate the violence as the men.
And it might surprise you to know that 𝔸𝕑𝕬𝕚 says 1/4 of all domestic violence cases involve men who don't hit back.
The ratio between men and women being abused as a whole is pretty much 50-50 as far as I can see, especially with the statistics that have been pulled up in the last year or so. So why am I talking just about men? Because nobody else seems to be doing it, unfortunately.
So if there are men who are victims of domestic violence, it seems that there would be shelters to house those men. But we searched the whole country and found just one domestic violence shelter that accepts men.
Every time I Google domestic violence or help for victims of domestic violence, it's always help for women. Over and over again. If you Google it, you won't find a single men's shelter anywhere. There's really no place for a man to go if he's experiencing violence in his relationship or in his home.
Rick Stratton participates in the shelter's outreach program. His wife did time for 6 felonies, including stalking, abuse, and causing grave bodily harm. He says she broke his ribs, his jaw, and his confidence, and when doctors treated his injuries, he lied.
I'm getting 3 or 4 stitches in my jaw, and I'm telling them that I fell down and hit a TV.
Stratton says he knew a 180-pound tattooed guy would be laughed at if he asked for help.
There's 100,000 male victims in our society who, when they present themselves as victims, the best they can hope for is that they'll be taken seriously, but more often than not, they'll be laughed at or ridiculed.
We're supposed to be the strong ones. Men are supposed to be the ones that can take it, the ones that can endure and be the stronger of the two. That's the stereotype, right? That's what we're supposed to do. But the problem is, abuse goes deeper than just physical. Now, physical abuse happens quite often, a lot more often than you might think. But let's talk about psychological abuse. I have personal experience in psychological abuse, and a lot of people will come out and call a man weak, or call him a cuck, or call him something like that because he has sunk himself into the position where he is being mentally abused by his wife or girlfriend. Now, this is a problem. Anybody that's been in that particular situation, either male or female, you will know that as a victim of abuse, it doesn't just happen overnight. This isn't something that just bang, suddenly she's abusive, all right, or suddenly he's abusive. It's not something that happens overnight, not usually. Once in a while it will. That's more of a red flag and you can run. No, there are people out there that are really good at slowly building you to that point. Sort of the boiled frog scenario, where the temperature just keeps on increasing, but the frog gets so used to being, it just adapts that quickly that it doesn't even realize that the temperature is rising in the first place. So that is the standard psychological abuse case. It's something that happens gradually, and you don't even realize that you're being abused until it's too late. Now, psychological abuse can do a lot of real damage. When I was experiencing that type of abuse, it was a matter of falling in love, at least thinking that you're falling in love. And you put everything you got into somebody. You give them your heart, and you give them everything, and in return, that person that knows everything about you and has your trust and knows all your secrets, they can use that against you. A bad person will do this. Usually an abusive person will do this. Someone that really loves you, guys and girls out there, will not use stuff like that against you. They will accept you for your flaws and not bring it up in an effort just to break you down. Now, as someone that has been like psychologically abused in the past, I know firsthand the devastating effects it could have on a human soul. It's basically breaking you down to nothing. They'll use things, words like "you'll never do any better," or "what would you do without me," and stuff like that. It's and you don't really think about it because you're trying to keep your relationship intact, and even when you call them out on it, a lot of times they'll apologize. So that they'll apologize, and it'll never happen again, sort of thing, until they start drinking or they start smoking something. When they're no longer sober, they're no longer in control of what they're saying, and just the subconscious stuff comes out. This is a really easy way to tell how or what somebody is thinking or someone's true intentions actually are, because anybody that's been in that situation will know that the worst of it comes out when people aren't thinking. So people out there right now, if you think that if you're being abused and you think that person really loves you, get them drunk. See how they treat you. Because if they treat you like shit, if they call you names, if they try to break you down and make you feel like you're nothing, like you can never do any better than them, alright, you're being abused. And that's how they think about it. That's how they think about you. That's being sober is the filter, and the key to keeping you where you are. Alright? So that being said, it's really important to understand how to get out of a situation like that. And it's a lot easier said than done, because when you've been with somebody for years and you've built a life together, you live with them, maybe you have kids with them, who knows, right? Maybe you have plans to get married, you have a joint bank account, you've invested a lot into this relationship, and getting out of it is not going to be easy. And I'm going to tell you something right now, guys. If you're being abused by your girlfriends or your wife or whatever, the chances of her getting better, slim to none. Slim to none. It has happened, but it's very much slim to none. What you have to do is change her core values, and her core values say that you're worthless, all right, or that she's worthless, and she has to treat you just as bad, so you won't leave. It's important to understand. All right, that you can't change that about a person. Maybe you can, and personally speaking, I have never seen it. It's going to hurt. All right, this isn't something that can happen overnight. All right, and bitches be crazy. Okay, they be crazy. A lot of the times I'm reading about men that have been abused, and the biggest problem that comes to that is surprisingly not the finances. The finances are a problem, mind you. But the biggest problem seems to be the kids. A lot of abuse victims report women and wives threatening to take kids away from their husbands. Now this is something that, can't be tolerated. That can't be tolerated. That is a whole different level of abuse. It's not only, hey, I'm going to take your money and you're going to get out, and that's that. All right, you're never going to see your children again. And this has happened time and again. It really has. It happens a lot more often than you might think. I'll never be there again. I got a hell of a lot smarter, and I married a woman that's so much better, so much better. And that's what men out there, if you're in an abusive relationship, all right, you have to understand that that's what you're missing. You're missing the opportunity to truly be happy, and this person is holding you back. Because for their own selfish reasons, right? Most of the time, people that abuse other people, it's usually a psychological problem with themselves. And sometimes, the abuser doesn't even know that they're abusing somebody. So, if you're one of those people that think you're not abusing your partner, all right, like really sit down and really think about how you talk to them and the way you treat them. If you don't support that person, all right. That's not abuse. That's just being a bitch. So there is a line. There is a line. It's more along the lines of breaking someone's manhood down. You have to understand that someone's manhood is a lot more fragile than you think. If you tell them, like I've heard a lot of cases of different things, but nothing hurts more than I've heard anyway, when you say things like, well, you can't provide. All right, that's a primal man instinct, and when you tell a man that you can't provide for anybody, that's pretty much breaking his manhood down to nothing. And that person that would have tried extra hard to provide now doesn't care because they're too depressed. Telling men they have a small dick is probably the worst thing you can do to your sex life, because now every time that they're doing their thing, they won't have been. They won't think about you. They won't be in the moment during sex anymore. All right, they'll constantly be thinking that I can't please her. I can't please her. So why try? Your sex life will diminish to nothing, guaranteed. So these are things that happen a lot more common than you might think. It happened to people that you wouldn't really expect that to happen to. So there's certain things you don't tell a man. There's obviously things you don't tell a woman too. As far as abuse towards men go. I haven't heard the small dick thing yet, but I know a lot of guys that have. But the abuse thing is nothing new when it comes to men. So where do we go? Like I said, when a physical abuse happens, when women are throwing shit at you or pulling knives on you, which has happened, or hit you over the head with a blunt object, you have to be safe. You can't go to sleep thinking, hey, this girl's gonna stab me in my sleep. All right, that's pretty scary. That's a scary, life to live, and it's a day by day, getting through the next day sort of scenario. So where do the men go? There's not a single men's shelter in the United States. There is one that's a unisex shelter, but women won't go there. Therefore, it won't be funded by anybody. So where do men go? They go to their, relatives. You can only do that for so long, all right? And that's a kick to the pride as well. How do you go to your relatives? How do you go to your dads and say, hey, my 110-pound girlfriend is gonna beat the shit out of me or stab me in my sleep, and I'm terrified? How do you do that? Especially when you don't know that you're being abused. You see what I mean? There are a lot of aspects to this problem, and I don't think everybody really understands. It's a lot more difficult than, hey, just get out and fucking leave it at that. What happens when she takes her kids away? What happens then? It's a fatherly instinct versus common sense. Because yes, of course you want to get out, and sometimes you just hate that bitch and you just want to get the fuck out of your house. But if you go, that might be the last time you ever see your children. That's a problem. The judicial system is set up to believe women, to listen to every word they say, whether it be a farce or not. So, what does a man do when he gets abused? Does he go to the police station? 9 times out of 10, they laugh at him. So you're going to charge her. What are you going to do? All right. You know what's going to happen when you charge her? They're going to put a restraining order against her, which is fine. That's the best case scenario. But you know what that means? That means you can't be within 500 feet of her. That means that all your stuff, your home, you're not allowed to enter it. So what do we do? Right now, there is no answer. There is no answer to this. And I really wish there was, because this is a really sad topic, and I wish I could say something a little more cheery to make this video a little better. But unfortunately, there's nothing that anybody's going to do about this. As long as this world caters to women, and I'm talking to feminists out there, you believe in true equality? No, you don't. No, you don't. You lie. You don't believe in equality. If feminists believed in equality, they'd be rallying for battered men's shelters. That's what they'd be doing. But they're too busy, you see, worrying about safe spaces and other crap like that doesn't really matter in this world. Bathrooms, transvestite bathrooms. Who the hell cares about that? Personally speaking, I don't want some guy in the bathroom with my 13-year-old daughter thinking that it's okay. But that's a whole other issue in itself. I hope I gave you guys something to think about today. And if you like my video, please like, subscribe. I have a book that was just launched. It's called The Book of Neophyte, The Awakening. All right, you can find this at Chapters Indigo website. You can also check it out at my website at thebookofneophyte.com, right there. And yeah, that's all I have to say about it today. And thanks a lot for watching, guys. Take care.